Hey, Rad Polars and fans of Patriot Warrior Media. This is Katie from Radical Politics, and I am here with my co-host from Patriot Warrior Media. Would you like to say hi?
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here.
And you'll hear me call him Casey, and but that may not be what you want to be called. What should we call you today?
You can call me Keith. Everybody
All right.
knows, so.
You'll probably hear me call Keith Casey, but old habits die hard. So we're talking about the same person. Anyways, we're excited to be here and we're excited to kind of chat. It's been a while since the DeadRedPatriots have been together and have been able to kind of have a chat with all of you. So we're going to go ahead and kind of have a laid back stream today, something that's more like a conversation. That being said, I just want to bring a few things to the attention of the audience. So one, me, Katie, I'm not in my normal studio space because I moved. So if you hear any sounds or anything a little bit weird, it's because I'm not quite ready and set up yet in the new space from moving. Number two, we're still new to the live streaming side of things, so there may be some things that don't go quite as smooth as you might normally be used to, but just bear with us. And then also feel free to, help us out in the chat. I'll be checking in there as we go. So the first thing I think we kind of want to talk about, there's so many juicy juicy topics to talk about. Where would you like to start first?
I kind of want to talk about Twitter and Jack Dorsey's announcement and what's going on there.
All right. So a lot of you may know, Twitter has decided that they are basically going to take over your life. Your life online and offline in a way. So basically, they're going to start monitoring everything you do, sites you visit, podcasts you listen to, and they're going to potentially be kicking you off, or I'm not sure if they'll be offering suspensions for things that you do outside of Twitter that they do not agree with, and just how far it's going to go or how much they're going to be able to actually catch or prove that it's you. So you might want another account that's not like your Twitter in case you want to do any kind of edgy, quote unquote, activities.
It's not far left.
Yeah, exactly. Anything not far left. So those of you who are Fash the Nation streamers, for example, definitely get another account that you can claim is not you in this case. As for the how, they're going to do this through cookies. So cookies are something that basically like embed into your device and track what you're doing in your internet history. So this is how they're going to be doing the majority of this, at least on the internet side. Obviously, if you're a public figure, then they can prove it's you. Like if you're Tommy Robinson and you're doing something that they don't approve with out in the real life, they can obviously prove it's you that way. For the everyday person, probably not something we have to be worried about. But it's deeply, deeply troubling for those of us on the right in our free speech and those of us who lean further to the right in the new right, like myself, for sure. What do you think, Casey?
I was under the impression that they are already monitoring our other social media. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of what I was under the impression, that they were already monitoring that and collecting that to use against us, and that the December 18th was get off, basically.
Interesting. My understanding is, and the only reason there's a December 18th deadline, too, to be clear, is because in Germany, for example, It's required that they give 30 days of notice before they make a major change of this sort to the
Okay.
people. And so that has subsequently just applied to everyone, just to make it the same across the board. So had it been uh, not those countries that we had to actually take into consideration, it would have been potentially just immediate here in the United States, because we don't have anything that says, oh, you have to give so much time before making a drastic change like this. We can just change TOS at any time. So,
So that's why they
um,
switched from November 22nd to December 18th then.
yeah, yep, yep, because they have to go because of mandates in other countries. So that's why they're just kind of doing everything at one time. Now, I am not sure if cookies have been collecting data already. If they have, we're all screwed. If they
Yeah.
haven't, um, we have some time, I guess, to switch over usernames and things. I don't know how they're going to prove that that person actually was the person using it. I mean, if you have a family computer, how do you know who's the one to what Twitter account that was actually using it and doing something?
Yeah, I don't know if they can just totally ban your IP address or um,
And the whole family?
yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say what they'll how far they'll go or how far they'll push it, but um, and they in the interest, they claim it's to kick out hate groups or people who are advocating hate or violence or and of course with the left, it's like anybody who disagrees with the left or anybody who is critical in any way of immigration or mass immigration or illegal immigration or border wall or Islam or anything like that, that puts you in the camp of being a hate group or hate speech or maybe possibly advocating violence. So I can see how they can use that to kick out anybody that's even remotely conservative or even farther, to the right.
Um,
Everybody.
I definitely agree, especially being the one half of this show that's on the farther right side. A lot of people that I watch are definitely going to be affected by this. And
Especially anybody who's very vocal, high profile. All those people risk getting permabans.
they've already, just before this has even come, this this week, they permanently banned um, both Baked Alaska,
Hmm.
which blows my mind because he's a Christian game streamer. He plays games and reads Bible verses. So, okay.
And Bunty King.
Here.
I don't know if you're familiar with Bunty King. They banned him.
I love Bunty. Has
Yeah,
it become a permanent ban?
that was what I heard. It was a permaban. Yes.
Oh my God. I just watched, actually, interestingly enough, I just watched yesterday, him and Baked Alaska had a stream together
Oh,
talking about Twitter. Um, so I guess that would make sense that they were both banned. Also, comedian Sam Hyde, who I do not know much about. I just know he's a right wing
he's the one that does all
comedian.
the mass shootings.
He what?
You heard of? Did you hear about how 4chan convinced a CNN reporter that it was Sam Hyde who did the church shooting in Texas?
No.
They went on air and said that they knew, and they released the name that Sam Hyde is the shooter. And when asked if it came from like a credible, verified source, they said yes.
I'm not surprised. 4chan and Poll definitely pull one over so often. It's not even funny. Also, TRS. TRS gets out a lot of good stuff too. Oh, TRS and Poll are definitely 4chan, very edgy, and get out a lot of good stuff. That is funny. Oh my God. I
Yeah,
know that
unbelievable.
many people, all the way from Oh man, let's see. I can't even remember every single person, but Spencer, um, Wife with a Purpose, James Alsop, Laura Loomer, who I can't stand,
Yeah.
all lost their verification, lost their check marks. Oh, Tommy Robinson.
I didn't know they lost their verification.
They all
That means
lost
they're not
their
real people
checks
then?
and verification.
That means they're not real people then, right?
Yeah, exactly. They
Like,
all lost their
fake.
checks and their verification. And um, I thought, okay, of course, the left is going to do that. It's just the way they are. It's not a big deal. If we don't have a check, whatever, we still know who's who,
Yeah.
whatever. But I was watching Ayla, Wife with a Purpose, one
Yeah.
of her videos, and she said that the check mark was one of the only ways she had to fight back from all of the lies that she had in the press about her, all the hit pieces done. Because when you have that verification check mark, if someone writes a hit piece about you, for example, you pop up as one of the approved comments and you pop up further up on the, I don't know what to call it, the comment stream
Yeah.
on Twitter. And so you can defend yourself so people can see it. If she doesn't have this check mark, she's like any other person, buried 500 things lower, and no one ever gets to hear her voice or her side of stuff on a
I
hit
didn't know
piece
that.
about her. And
Wow.
I hadn't thought about that before, of how that check mark might come into play for them than just saying, oh, I'm a known figure within, the greater community, an e-celeb or a famous person or a pundit or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so there is meaning behind that. And then there's just the fact that the left can say whatever they want and keep their check mark, but those on the right say nothing, literally, not
Um,
even prompted by anything specific. They just lose it.
yeah, and if you're going to be fair, and if this is what Jack Dorsey's going to do, then you have to permaban every Antifa group, all their supporters have been coming out with all kinds of threats and garbage. And I bet you anything, and none of those people are going to be affected at all.
Oh, I completely agree. I completely agree. I think you're going to see a push for them to be included, and it's going to be, one of those situations where you like bit you bit the hand that feeds you, in a way where you said, oh, we want them gone and blah blah blah, and then when things change, suddenly it applies to you as well. So I think we're going to see
Gotta hope
that.
that it swings that way too, but I don't have much faith in that. Um,
I know.
whoever controls the information controls everything, and clearly, the left controls most of the media, and the left controls, Twitter, Google, YouTube, all this Facebook, all the social media platforms. I mean, can you imagine if Zuckerberg actually does run in 2020 and decided that he was going to control the information and shut down everyone on the right on Facebook, and then the other lefties followed suit with Twitter and YouTube and Google. And can you imagine how in the dark we would be all of a sudden? That could happen overnight if they really wanted to do that.
We basically are in a culture war, which we already know, but it's ramping up, and pretty soon we'll be
We'd be back to
outside. What?
letter writing, and they'd be using the internet.
Yep, we'd basically be back to standing in the town square telling our message to people and stuff like that. I mean, we have Gab and stuff like that, but it's still an echo chamber. And so we're not really getting our message out there to people, which
No, yeah.
is what we need to do. So,
People use
I don't,
Facebook to organize for events, and suddenly, and that may not happen in 2020, but maybe it'll take 5 years, maybe it'll take 10 years. I mean, it just seems like that's the way the world's going. And and Twitter doing their stupid announcement on this, for December 18th or whatever, is just, I think it's a giant leap in that direction.
I'm definitely critical and definitely worried about where this is going to be, especially as someone who definitely consumes a lot of what would be considered edgy media that they would not approve of. So I definitely am worried about where this is going to go. But I think that we have to hope that things will be applied fairly, or that, as with everything, we'll figure out a way to get around it. Everything they throw at us, we find out another way to get around it. So, I mean, that might be a software that blocks cookies. That might be a private networks. That might be, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know everything in tech, so I don't know what the solutions might be, but I feel like there's a good chance that there might be some sort of personal software that comes out for this. I'm not sure, but I think we've got a lot riding on this and a lot at stake, because we need social media to connect with people, especially normies, for sure. What are your last thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree with all that. Yeah, I think we probably would bounce back. I mean, maybe not in time if it all gets shut down on us, but I think we probably would bounce back. But I think it would be a gigantic setback, and who knows how much damage would be caused before we could mount a comeback. I don't know. Tough to say.
Yeah, I think this is, as Eli Mosley was saying in the article that I wrote recently about um, the lawfare, the use of lawfare
Yeah.
against the right. One of the things he said is opportunity cost. And so that really sticks with me. And we might have, in this case, it might be an opportunity cost, which means it's going to be something that we're going to be missing out on. We're going to be losing the opportunity to talk to people,
Yeah.
to discuss events, to share things, to recruit people. It's an opportunity lost, and that might be the biggest cost to us, is an opportunity cost. So that's kind of my last thought on that.
Especially if we're
Um,
already behind kind of on the culture war. We don't need a big setback right now.
no, definitely not. It's something that we um, ugh, the word escapes me. It's something that we can't really afford to have right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that no matter what we do, it's coming. And so we're just going to have to brace ourselves, and we're just going to have to do the best that we can with what we have. So
Yeah.
here goes nothing. Um, Speaking of, let's move on to um, a couple more topics that are going to be enraging. This is definitely a stream of hot button issues and enraging topics this week. um, so let's kind of talk about. I want to talk about the BLM kidnapping. So
Are you talking? Is this the one where those four that kidnapped that kind of partially mentally disabled guy?
yes,
Okay,
mm-hmm.
I'm not totally up on the latest news on that one.
Yep, I'm going to tell you right now. So with the BLM kidnapping, what has happened is a judge has decided to drop the hate crime charge.
Okay.
And this is a big deal, and it's incredibly enraging. Um, One, it was clearly hate crime because it was motivated by the race of the individual.
Yeah.
Then second, also he was, disabled. So that's a secondary form of what could be considered a hate crime.
Right.
Um, but this was probably one of the first times we've ever seen, at least on a large mainstream level, um, someone, a group of minority kids or minority people be charged with a hate crime on someone who was white. So that was a huge deal. And rightfully so, that they were charged with this hate crime. They said racial slurs to this young man.
Yeah.
They scalped this young man. They spit on this young man. I mean, the things they did to this young man are disgusting, and I can't even imagine what it was like to be him in that situation. Um, but here we are. How much longer? And quietly, without anything being said really in the news, they dropped this out. They dropped the hate crime statute. So now it's just, oh, well, it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter that he was white and then he faced racial discrimination in the course of this crime that the government even felt rose to the level of a hate crime. They just dropped it. So that's where we're kind of at. What are your thoughts?
Can you imagine if it was four white people,
Oh.
black folks? BLM would be in the streets burning down their own neighborhoods like usual.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes. Absolutely. It would, if this were in the reverse, oh my God, it would be a national outrage. It would be all over the news. All we would be hearing is how the system is racist and they're unfair and they don't care about people. And here we are
It'd be all
in
about,
the opposite direction. And it's like saying, well, the system doesn't care about white people because this kid was white. They don't care. But if this situation was reversed, it would be incredibly mobilizing, I guess is the word,
oh
where
yeah.
we would see people in the streets, we would see people out protesting, we would see um, local representatives in the Chicago area out and talking, out and saying something, out in the street. They would be pressing for some sort of resolution, and more or less they'd be screaming at the top of their lungs for some sort of resolution, I would say.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to just say, oh, it's cool, whatever, no big deal, it happens, blah, blah, blah. And when when is this double-edged sword ever going to be enough is what I want to know.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, it goes back to the whole, now it's not okay to be white. It's all white people are racist. It just flies in the face of any kind of logic or reason or statistics or anything like that. And I mean, it's such a backlash against white people, and race keeps being brought up everywhere, whether it has anything to do with anything or not, and it just keeps increasing the divide. And yeah, I don't know where it ends.
I don't know either, and that's a good segue into our next story, which is it's okay to be white. Um, so many of you by now, I am positive, if you're listening to us here, have um, definitely heard of the campaign, poster campaign that's been across the United States that simply put up posters that say, it's okay to be.
Katie, I can't hear you. Hey, Katie, I completely lost you. I don't know what's going on.
Hold on here.
Oh, I hear you.
Okay. So with the it's okay to be white, we've had a lot of media outrage. We've had a lot of issues where um, we're seeing people um, crying. I can't even crying in the street.
Getting triggered when you see one of those posters.
It's the most mundane poster. It literally is just a poster that looked like it was typed off your mom's computer that says, it's okay to be white. And the thing that's crazy is by saying that this is racist and something's wrong with it, etc., uh, you are basically saying that it's not okay to be white. The
Yeah,
people who are born white, it's not okay.
judging from people's reactions, you'd think that people would put up posters with the photograph of the KKK and burning crosses for a black person. I mean, it's so insane. It's unimaginable. I don't even know what to say about that. Just
The fact that we're at a point in America where you can't even say that it. Now imagine this: if we said it's okay to be Latina, it's okay to be black, it's okay to be Chinese. No one would say anything because yeah, you're born that way. It's cool. But this one poster that says it's okay to be white, everybody's having a huge heart attack about, and it's it's such a mild phrase. It doesn't imply anything else. It doesn't imply anybody's better than anyone. It doesn't imply anything. It's just, hey, you person born this way, this is who you are. It's cool. Just chill. Like, you know, we're sending a message to people that it's not okay to just be who you are, and it's not okay to be the person that you were born as and the skin you were born in, which is funny because it's come full circle because the whole beginning process of this Marxist agenda was that you should be good and happy in your own skin, and they were referring to mainly minorities at that time, but they were saying it's good to be happy in your own skin. But now it's not okay or good to be happy in your own skin, or it's good and happy to be in your own skin for everybody unless you're white.
yeah.
So
In your,
this, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It just goes back to the whole white guilt and white people should make reparations for something that happened hundreds of years ago, and I mean that is incredibly racist right there to hold a group collectively responsible for something and not individuals for what individuals have done is an incredibly racist statement, incredibly racist ideology. And every other race doesn't like it if that is implied or anything like that, but it's perfectly fine if you're white to be held accountable and guilty for your group.
Amen. I think a small example of that could be gun crime in places like Chicago, where it's mostly black on black crime, and the majority of crime, period, is perpetrated by blacks in the area. And if you say that and you say black on black crime, that's considered incredibly racist, and nobody wants to talk about that. You would never should imply that this group has more crime, even though the federal statistics nationwide show that to be the case
Yeah.
by the FBI. I mean, by the government itself. It just is the facts. You could never talk about that or imply that in a public space, but you can turn around and say, well, white people are responsible for everything horrible on earth and they should just die and be off the planet. It's become normalized. It's okay to be racist towards white people. It's okay to say negative things about white people. Um, instead of having the same inclusivity and equal rights across the board where everyone is treated with respect and everyone, it's okay to be whoever you are no matter what you are and no matter who you are, and that sounds just like the left's talking points.
Yeah.
It's okay to be who you are. Be who you are. You're an individual unless you're white. Then it's not okay to be who you are.
You can only be who you are if you fit in with their inclusivity box, which is pretty damn narrow.
Exactly. I mean, even being gay and not being on the left, it's it's okay to be gay unless you're on the right. Then it's not
Yeah.
okay. So it just doesn't matter because you're screwed if you do and you're screwed if you don't. So it really just kind of blows my mind, and I'm so sick and tired of the anti-white propaganda and the fatigue that you get from that, from seeing that all the time. It's just old. It's become old.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem like it's letting up or getting less. It just keeps picking up steam, especially when you have, what was it? Was it the New York Times that did, I think it was the New York Times that did this dumb article questioning whether or not Black people should be friends with white people and what to teach.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, mainstream media keeps putting out garbage like that. And it's like, no wonder we got a racial divide here. And no wonder we have people advocating for a race war and all that kinds of garbage. And you keep putting out that garbage.
Yeah, and they're dying because people are sick of it. They're sick of seeing this crap. And the left is playing its hand too early. What they forgot is the fact that we're still a majority white country. So you're sitting there and you're playing your hand so early by trying to push all this anti-rhetoric or anti-white rhetoric everywhere that you go. Like we saw come out after this "It's Okay to Be White" campaign spread across the United States. But they don't have the majority yet. So what they did is show the majority, oh, well, we aren't going to treat you with the same respect when you become a minority. So yeah, just roll over and die already, basically. So they overplayed their hand by showing what a glimpse of what the future would be like before we even got to the future, in my opinion.
And why haven't they figured out that this whole attitude just pushes people farther to the right? They don't like the right, yet what they're doing is they're pushing people on the right farther right.
Yep, that's exactly true. And
Causing a
actually,
bigger problem.
yep, the more people that we saw, even with this "okay to be white" thing, I think it red pilled a lot of normies. I think it at least planted seeds for a lot of normies. I think that it pushed people who are already on the right further to the right. I think that it made regular average people talk about identity politics, and it made people on the right talk about identity politics even more. So I think
Yeah.
it was overall a successful campaign. um, I think it touched a lot of people because a lot of people said, hey, wait a minute, what do you mean? If it's okay to be white, if it's not okay to be, if you say there's an issue with the "it's okay to be white," that means it's not okay to be white. And why not? This is how I was born. This is who I am. This is my kids, Exactly. So I think that it's something that is really going to be really um, important in the future. And I think that overall it was a success.
Yeah.
Um, one kind of last thing, perhaps, if do you have anything else before we roll into maybe the last topic here?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. So one last thing I want to talk about, just because we haven't really had a chance to talk about it, is Trump's first year. So we've just reached recently here about the first year or so of Trump's presidency. So I want to get your take on where you think we are, how do you think it's going, and what does the future look like?
Oh man, when it comes to big picture politics, I'm not very good at this. Um, I probably get into some trouble for saying this, but I don't know that I'm necessarily someone who will blindly follow or blindly agree with everything. If he does some things I don't agree with, I'd be happy to not agree with that. But overall, I think that he's doing a pretty decent job despite having to fight everybody to do the job, basically. Um,
I am in the same vein, I would say. I am not someone who um, would just blindly follow anything that he chooses to do or that the administration would choose to do. Um, Overall, I am happy with some of the progress they're making on immigration,
mhm.
though I'd certainly like to see a lot more going on in immigration, and I'd like to see that we're securing the border wall further, although we have drastically, and why has no president ever been able to do this beforehand if it was so easy, drastically lowered the amount of people who are coming in. But
Yeah,
now, after this border agent just got killed recently, I don't know, it was the last day or two,
yeah,
um, I would like to see, you know, the wall secured so that we are not having these issues and border agents being killed. And we wouldn't have to be worrying about that so much if we had that wall secured. I'd also like to see DACA not become a bill. I'd like to see DACA determined in a way that we just basically said, send everyone home, send everyone back, everyone's got to go. Um, so if there was a clean bill on DACA where that was the case, okay. If it is a case where we have to give a lot of concessions, um, then I don't think that would be good enough for me. Tax reform, I'm seeing some red pills in tax reform so far, some pro-natal policies that are going to help children and families and increase the amount of families that we have and the amount of families that can have more children. So, by those tax cuts and incentives through the middle class, I definitely can be on board there.
yeah.
So, I think those are two big spaces, two big red pills.
What's up with the Raise Act?
Um,
Is
yeah,
that
that's
still on deck or what?
um, essentially that's pretty dead at this point. So
Figure.
the Raise Act, we're not going to be seeing that coming through, or at least not in the way that we had pictured it originally. So um, we'll have to stay tuned on that to see more about it. But which was something that I was really excited about. So that's definitely a black pill.
Yeah, I mean,
um,
that made made sense. I I don't know why we have to take anybody or the dregs. I don't want to say the dregs of society, but people that aren't going to contribute. Why is it our responsibility to take everybody that's not going to contribute to society? But interestingly enough, I saw someone arguing against that, and he was making the point, and I thought it was an interesting point of, okay, well then why should we be taking the best of other countries? Doesn't that leave some of the smaller countries out of that? Like,
I
I don't know.
Yeah, I 100%
Question.
agree with that view, because it's something called brain drain. So if we take the best and brightest from other countries, like if we go to a merit-based system and we take only the best from each country, we're pulling out of those, especially those third world countries, the
Yeah.
brightest people that they have, which is not allowing their country to progress and to get any better, because we're taking the best and the brightest of those people and we're pulling them to our country. So whereas if we had no immigration or very limited immigration, the best and brightest of those countries would be staying there and making their own countries great and a good place to live. So brain drain is a serious thing to consider when looking at merit-based applications, especially from third world countries. It's a little bit different when you have higher IQ, higher education countries, like first world countries. That's a little bit different. But when you're looking at those third world countries, then we don't really want to be part of that brain drain and taking those people away from their country who should be staying there and building it up. And that's another question. Why don't they want to stay in their own country and build it up to be a great place to live?
Yeah.
We don't know. I think we just need to go back to more that like 1965 immigration type policy, and get rid of the last so many years of immigration if we could get rid of it.
I find it interesting that, all the pressure that Poland's getting from not allowing immigration, and it's like suddenly they're all a bunch of far right crazies because like they suddenly, because they love their country, they don't want it destroyed. So now they're just a whole bunch of far right Nazis or whatever because of that. It's like, it's insane. It's crazy. And everybody wants to force people that are going to cause trouble and a drain on the society and probably terrorist attacks. They have to let all those people in so that they can not be a bunch of Nazis. And that's so stupid.
Yep. Well, here's one thing that I think I have heard many times on Tara and Lana, and something to think about is, why is every other country for that country? So Japan is for Japanese people, and China is for Chinese people, and Saudi Arabia is for Saudi Arabian people, and Mexico is for Mexican people, and et cetera, on and on and on. But all white countries are for all people. So why is that? Why Saudi Arabia has one of the most difficult immigration policies there is, and then Mexico is the same. In fact, if someone from America crossed the border into Mexico, they would not have the same rights that a Mexican who illegally crosses into America has. It is not the same thing.
Even if you go to Canada, you don't get a chance to take part in their socialized medicine and all the socialized programs there right away, like you do if you come over to us. You have to go there and pay in the system and be in there a while before you get any of the benefit.
Unless you're an illegal immigrant.
Even in Canada?
Yep. Unless you're a quote unquote illegal refugee from Syria or something like that, then it's, oh, whatever,
Yeah.
It's absolutely unreal, and Trudeau is definitely not helping the situation by far. It's just
not good Canada at all.
It's not. And Canada has this new thing going on now where people are crossing from the US, and we're not sending the best. No. Coming from us is coming, all the criminals and everything are switching over there. So we're not sending our best by far, and it's sad to see Canada. Now, Canada has some of the least guarded borders that I have seen. And that being said, they're just getting people from every end, and there's no one to stop it. And they're just like, oh, we'll take everyone. It's beautiful. Everyone come in. And it's causing an issue. It's causing an issue for them. And now they're getting, the bad people, the MS-13, the horrible people who are coming from America, who are here, who we're kicking out, are now just going over to Canada and saying, okay, it's cool, we'll just go to the neighbors to the north who aren't going to bother us. So I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I think, let's see, um, the most black-pilled topic so far uh, of the year of presidency has got to be healthcare. We haven't seen anything happen that's been positive in healthcare. Right now, it's pretty much in a situation where it's just set up to crash and burn so that the GOP looks horrible and doesn't get reelected, and we get more Trump style Republicans to come into um, Congress through the midterms mainly and beyond. And I I guess here we are in enrollment in another year of Obamacare about to start.
Yeah.
And we just haven't seen a lot of changes on that. So I think that's very blackpilling, but it is still early in the overall 4 years. So I don't know. Take it or leave it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I'll say about Obamacare is you knew something had to be wrong when if you didn't sign up for it, you got huge fines. Wait a second. How can that be legal? How can that be right? It was still crappy.
And it's still crappy.
Yeah.
Amen to that. And it looks like there's going to be a long, long time of crappiness to go still.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any more comments on the first year and how that's going?
No. Yeah. I'm not super up on political stuff like that. So I mean, I listen and pay attention, kind of, but I don't spend a lot of time getting into that more cultural stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, so there's uh let me see here. I guess we'll have to kind of wrap up here maybe um a little a little short piece on culture. So the culture is changing and everything. So one thing I wanted to bring up this week on culture um, is Nicki Minaj's paper cover, which I know that you're not super familiar with.
No, I don't even know what's going on there.
Oh my God. Nicki Minaj released this cover for Paper, which infamously had the break the internet photo with Kim Kardashian. Um, that came out with her booty in a champagne glass and all of that good stuff.
Okay.
Um, so they're kind of infamous for this risque type photo, which is usually really pushing the line. But
Yeah.
this kind of pushed the line into full on degenerate. I I can take a lot on the culture side for sure, but this made me kind of want to vomit. Um,
I have not even seen it.
it's I'm gonna describe it, and it's just it's so bad. You can Google it, Nicki Minaj's paper cover, and you'll be surprised. But it's Nicki Minaj, and she's wearing practically nothing.
Uh-huh.
And um, she's got on pasties,
Okay.
and then over her is another girl who is basically looking at her in a lusty way. And she's wearing next to nothing. And she's got her hands on Nicki Minaj's boobs. Then, in between Nicki Minaj's legs is a girl in a thong with her whole butt hanging out, with her tongue in between Nicki Minaj's legs, like she's about to, you know,
Yeah.
I think we all get the point of what she's about to do there. But the creepy thing is, it's Nicki Minaj. All of the girls are Nicki Minaj. It's a
Oh,
menage a trois. and they're all,
Wow,
it's
that's a
called,
little bit narcissistic.
yes, that's exactly what I thought. It's so nihilistic and narcissistic.
Wow.
And then it looks like, from what I saw, there's more pictures like of her showering herself in these provocative positions. It's like more pictures of um, herself having a menage a trois in a bathtub with herself, and it's
She went and
disgusting.
formed herself.
Yes, it is. It's exactly that. That's exactly the best way that I could describe it. It's disgusting.
Wow.
And this is where we're at. This is where pop culture has got. Um, Now we have people literally having sex with themselves. And this is the
Worse
stuff that we see.
than traditionally having sex with yourself is masturbation. This is worse.
This this is it's I just don't even know. So for our listeners, yeah, if you want to see peak degeneracy of the week, um, then Nicki Minaj's Paper magazine cover is definitely, and like photo shoot is definitely the place to go. So I just wanted to bring this one up because it was so appalling to me, just how absolutely disgusting it was. And
So are you saying you're not going to have a sex bot of yourself made?
oh my God, that's a whole nother topic. Talk about nihilistic. It's gotten
Yeah.
to the point where MGTOW is now just creating fake fake women. Now they don't even need real women. But then again, when I look at some of these leftiest, like harpy feminists, I get it. I sort of get it.
Well, that's becoming a real problem in Japan because of the pressure that women are putting on their husbands and stuff in Japan.
Really?
Yeah, and they're like rejecting it and buying these like $20,000 sex dolls. I mean, you're talking about married men too. I'm serious.
Wow.
Yeah, I was reading an article about this, and you can kind of understand. I mean, you can understand why a lot of them are rejecting the women in their life. I mean, it's going a little bit far to get a $20,000 sex doll instead, but yeah, it's like an extreme reaction to this cultural thing that women are doing to men in Japan, and
Wow. I think that's probably culturally across the globe right now,
probably.
across the
Otherwise, you
West,
could
and
MGTOW.
for sure. Oh, MGTOW. That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
All right. So to wrap up, what are your last thoughts to wrap up for this week?
Well, I have to plug something.
Okay. Yes,
That
definitely. Share with us what you got going on and where we can find you.
the MAGA march in Washington D.C. and it looks like it's going to be January 27th. I'm not 100% sure that the permit came through, but it looks like that's going to be the day, which I believe it's probably on a Saturday. I haven't looked at the calendar, but so the organizers are flying me out and putting me up to do media and everything for that. And of course, the left, when they did their Disrupt J20 on last year, so they're going to be protesting on the 20th there to, free their comrades and to cause all kinds of problems. And it'll probably be a pretty big gathering. So I think it's important that our event puts theirs to shame and that we have a lot of people there and make it a huge, gigantic event to support President Trump against, the deep state, against globalism, and against all this garbage that's going on and making it tough for him to be able to actually accomplish anything that we want him to accomplish and that he wants to accomplish. So I don't know the time that it will be or exactly where if it was going to start at the White House, whatever, March somewhere. I don't know yet. Don't know any details, but it's being organized and some big people are involved in it. So we want that to be just a giant thing and to show the president our strength, to show our support, to show the left, to show the Democrats, to show everybody that we are behind Trump. And and against globalism. So that's going to be in January, probably the 27th, and I'll definitely be updating people on that. Of course, you can find me at KPikklefield or at KPikklefield on Twitter for now until the 18th, I guess, of December. Who knows? Or same with YouTube at KPikklefield, Instagram at KPikklefield, and Reddit, same thing, under the new right, and I'm occasionally on Discord under the new right. So, yeah.
Amazing. All right. Well, that sounds like a great opportunity for everybody to get out and kind of show their support, especially if they're in an area where this is happening. So definitely get out there, guys, and show your support, and get involved if you can. As for me, I am Katie Jensen, and I write for Halsey News. So you can find me on Twitter at Radpol. So it's ATRADPOL for Radical Politics. Facebook, we're on Facebook at Radical Politics, where you'll see my right-hand woman, Jax, running our Facebook. And then I'm also on mine, same thing, Radical Politics, or at Radpol there. And we're on YouTube, obviously, here at Radical Politics. And we are looking into, we do have like a Discord, but we haven't really gotten to setting that up. So that's something we might be doing in the future.
Cool.
So we do have also Patreon, which we're just getting started at Patreon / I believe it's at Radpol. It's so new, I'll have to see. So I'll have to put a link in the description, or in the future, you can reach out to me. Same thing. If you are wanting to share something with me, just go ahead and send me a DM on Twitter. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me, is through a Twitter DM. Okay? So other than that, these are the Dead Red Patriots, and we're signing off. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Good
Bye.
night. Bye-bye.